Hello, hello. So, it's 3.0 now, and I'm coming to you from my house. Well, my studio, whatever you want to call it. That is poorly decorated and doesn't really have much, but it's a good place to log off because you have that nice little buff that makes you get injury repose faster. And even if you're not leveling, that gives you an increased drop rate by 10%, so it's good. It's cool. Anyway, I'm just going to get some of these random item things first before I head out. I just want to talk about, let's see, skills and stigmas and other things, I guess. Just what's really new with Chanters since the patch. So, well, I guess we'll open these first. Whoopee! Yeah, okay. So we'll be right back. Okay, so quickly before I go into the stigmas, I'm just going to go ahead and show, if you don't already know, the way to buy stigmas in the new zone. You can zone in right here, normally. I think scroll puts you like right here. Regardless though, you just run around a fountain, go down a bit, and you can either go right if you're in Asmo, or left if you're in Elios. And I will so be using this later on just because it's such an awesome feature. And yes, I have already participated in random phallic or non-phallic drawings involving the map. Random things that don't mean anything, just draw like a happy sun and then post it to your teammates and they're like, okay, good for you. And they pat you in the head, that stuff. But I digress. So let's go ahead and look at the stigmas. Now, there are some you can get at 58. They include DB3, HB3, Numbing Blow 3, and Elemental Screen 2. And they're all basically the same. They give either increased healing or damage. Um, yeah, they don't really change anything else in the stats. It'd be awesome if they put Magic Suppression Elemental Screen 2. I think they should have, honestly, just because that would have been such a big improvement, in my opinion, and more people would have considered using it. And it wouldn't just be such a, well, I'm going to use the word throwaway skill, but it's still decent enough. And then the level 60 ones include MC4, which is more damage, that's always good. And then our instant heal actually goes up to almost 4k, which is awesome. It also becomes totally pink, so I guess there's a trade-off. Visuals for healing? I don't know. The skill is getting pinker. Actually, if you look at my hotbar, skills are like pink, yellow, green, brown. I don't really know. I guess that's what the colors of a chanter are, but yeah. Blessing of Wind 6 and Magic Recovery 6 are also there. This does how much? 20? Oh, okay, so it's a little better now, but still, should be like a 2-minute cooldown or so. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the stigmas real quick that you buy from the AP stuff. Oh, there's a bike here. I could probably make one of those eventually, but I'm focused on other things. Also, I don't really farm the mob that apparently you're supposed to farm for it, so yeah. Other stigmas we get include, I'll just open the things. At 58, you also get the second remove shock, which is right here, Rise 1. And this is pretty awesome. I do believe you have to bind it to another key than your regular remove shock. So what I did was I took the remove shock key that I use, which is just a mouse button. And since I only have two mouse buttons, I actually shift and mouse button to do that key. So now it's like regular mouse key, I do remove shock, and then shift mouse, I do rise. The same goes for the dispel we get. I have the pot on one button and then shift and the pot on the other. Obviously, you do whatever makes you feel comfortable, but I like having them really close so I can just do one or the other without having to think too much. We have Word of Life 5, which is good. It's 461 every time now. Which, what else? Annihilation and Burst. And this one's actually pretty interesting because it's the one you just keep spamming the button over and over in PvP. I'll get into like the details of it a little bit later, but that's generally that. And there's also Hit Mentor 2, which increases everything by 5. I'm a big fan of this stigma. I know it's like half and half with Chanters, but yeah. Oh, I guess there's also Soul Crush 3, which is good. More DD's nice. And Splash Swing 4, now that I think about it. Oh, this is messy. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and show everything else now. So I moved to Team Maranta to smack some mobs and show the new skills we get. Real quickly though, I'll just talk about a couple other things involving skills. There are improvements for things like Word of Revival and Victory Mantra. Little changes, but overall little changes are good. They add up to big changes. Maybe not, but that was a nice sounding analogy in my head. The first skill, since we're going bottom up, I guess, is Unstoppable 1, which reduces people's, well, I guess increases your penetration against stuns and stumbles. They really like that word, penetration. I just thought that'd be kind of funny to mention. and it increases it by 300. So if a Templar or Glad has UD, which is nerfed now to 800 resistance, you reduce it again to 500, which will be 50% chance to stun and knock down, I believe. And that's really nice because now you can hurt them and make them have to remove shock and stuff through UD. Well, we could always hurt them, but now you have to make them think a little more, which is cool and pretty useful, I have to say. There's the Dispel, which is a nice animation. Makes like a halo over your head, and awesome for, I guess the number one thing would be ankle snare, huh? But yeah, now we can get rid of some unpotable things, which are awesome. Other things, so like, I don't know, Curse Cloud or whatever, is still gonna have to deal with, but hey, an improvement's an improvement, right? Next, we have the very lovely skill of Lucidity 1. This one is awesome. If you have Word of Inspiration, then you won't really notice too much changing to this, but regardless, you use this one now. They don't stack because that would be OP. And yeah, you can have it up at all times, I guess, unless it's dispelled. It probably is dispellable, since it appears in the window and all. And it just makes everything crazy. Like, I use a master weapon with the EC weapon, so I have a lot of accuracy already, but it's crazy. 2.45, that's a high amount of accuracy. And, you know, these other stats are just random, but I think that's pretty sweet. Oh, magic boost too. You can get like 1400 plus probably. I don't have that awesome of a... Oh, maybe I do. I don't know. But regardless, the stats go really high now, which is nice. Homeward Bound, you can make a gate for your house. Can't use it in combat though, so I guess that balances it. Trying to think. And finally, Flashbolt 1. I think there's a cleric skill like this that's not physical, it's magical, but it's a ranged attack that procs held strike chain stuff, so you can follow this up with Infernal Blaze and not have to conflict between the two, which is awesome because I never used Infernal Blaze really anyway, unless I was situational for me. Now that we've talked about those things, let's just go ahead and do some smacking of mobs. So, well, the first thing I'll point out is that we can do a lot more ranged attacks and start the fight without having to be close to the other people we're fighting, which is kind of cool, I guess. We've always had some ranged attacks, but now we have an extra one that procs one, and if you have Soul Luck, that's another one. I took it out though, just for some convenience stigma purposes. So let's go ahead and just smack this Balar mob. Oops, jump shot, yeah. But look at that. You can do all of this from range now, and that's just the start of it. Oh, then you can proc your Godstone, of course. If you go to these mob or use Annihilation, you can actually wave this, and it's pretty nice damage. So you just do that. Yeah, look at that. It's pretty nice. I'll just scroll up. A quick note though, the last part burst, the last skill in this chain keeps you locked in place for a second, so keep that in mind. Where did it start? Yeah, it's the Annihilation 1135. Wow, there's so many procs going off here that I can't even see it. Just know that it does pretty nice damage, and it's an interesting skill. I like it. People will probably be half and half about it, but I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it for stigmas, so I'm going to go ahead and do other things that popped into my head to talk about real quick. So take care, and I hope you guys are enjoying the new Chantiator upgrade that we got with 3.0, because I see a whole lot of damage and not a whole lot of support, and no, self-dispel does not count, because that does not support anyone but ourselves. But yeah, ta-ta.